there we go. Unmute my mic. Hello, friends. Scott Lanningham here. Another episode of SLRadio with my good friend Mitch Watkins. Say hi, Mitch.
Hey, everybody. How's it going? Great to be with you, Scott.
So glad you're here. So we're gonna have some fun tonight. We're gonna play some old Mitch Watkins Group music. This is a couple of cuts. This is the first one called "Subway People" from an old radio show years ago. So we're gonna let it roll. What?
Stephen Frumholtz's radio.
Steve Frumholtz's show. It was at the Austin Opry House back when that was around. Okay, let's listen to it and we'll come back. Fun stuff. Fun stuff. Mitch, how you doing, man?
I'm great. That was back when we had chops.
You can't see this, but I put up a lower third. You know, I say who the guest is, and and mine tonight it says Mitch Chainsaw Watkins. So. I won't leave the chainsaw up there all night. Only while we're playing Mitch Watkins Group stuff. My nickname for Mitch from years ago. How you and Diane holding up down there?
Oh boy, it's we're doing fine. You know, we're safe, we're healthy. Nobody's sick. You know, we have lots of free time to do writing and
yeah,
practicing and not gigging.
You're in your home studio there, right?
I am. Yeah.
Everybody can't see the rest of the room, but it is a wonderful place. It's above the garage, right? Like a big loft kind of thing.
It's above the garage, and it's a nice little playroom.
Did you build that out, or was it there when you guys moved in? Just the space.
The space was there.
But you brought the magic.
I treated it a little acoustically and
yeah. And so tonight with Mitch, whom I've known Mitch for I don't know how many years. I think 1981 maybe was about the time I met you.
Yeah.
And changed my musical life being involved with you. We have many good memories, but we were just going to share a couple of cuts from the Mitch Watkins Group, which was sort of Mitch's post-Passenger follow-up with Paul Ostermeyer on saxophone, Steve Zirkel on bass, Mitch and I, and James Finner joining us when he could. So we recorded. It was a very brief experience as a band, but there were a lot of great things recorded and a lot of great performances. You know, some of it was live, like that one we just heard. And what do you remember about that night on that radio show or that weekend? Because wasn't it right after that we opened for Spyro Gyra, I think, in the Austin Opry House?
At the Austin Opry House, yeah.
You have any memories of all that?
Well, I remember that we really forced Spyro Gyra to play. No, I think we had a really good night that night, and I don't remember any specifics other than we played well, and we played well on this radio show. It was fun. It was fun,
and I know that night, the night maybe it was the next night or a couple nights later, the Spyro Gyra opening. I think we were supposed to play for an hour, and we played a little bit over. And I just remember the audience got into it so much, and they were so excited that by the end of our tune, the crew was just literally pulling our gear off the stage as we were standing up from our equipment. Probably had as much to do with us playing over as it did that we were also pumping the crowd up a whole lot. But I think you're right. I think they kind of brought a higher level game that night because they could see the crowd was into it, you know?
Yeah, they had to bring it.
Yeah. I remember I was so wanting to hear a recording of that night, and I remember James Tuttle, who is a great Austin engineer for many, many years. He lives in Colorado now, but wonderfully talented dude. He'd done a lot of projects with Mitch and a lot of other people in town. He was doing live sound for us that night, and I remember I brought him a tape recorder and everything, and when I got done, I went over and he had this sad look on his face, and he's like, I had the wrong cables, man. I couldn't capture it, you know.
Oh,
I was bummed, but it was still a great memory. We had a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was. It was fun.
We should. The other one we wanted to play. I don't know that many people outside of you and us, we in the band and just our friends, have ever heard your recording of this. Right? Did you ever release "Tune for the Moon" in any other form with anything else?
No, it never saw the light of day. Nice tune, though. It was fun.
Oh yeah, yeah. And then did you? I know Bill Ginn was involved creating that tune with you, right? Or was that more of the other one, Great Barrier, that I'm thinking of?
That was more another song.
Yeah.
No, this. I wrote this entirely, and we did. It had many different incarnations, but if we're talking about this incarnation that I think you're about to play, we recorded it at Cedar Creek.
Yeah.
In Austin, South Austin.
And it is you sequenced a bunch of stuff, laid a lot of guitar down. I played drums on it, and then a bunch of us sang on it, made some interesting vocal sounds, right?
We sang on it, and we were slamming doors as sound effects,
yeah.
and then of course my favorite sound effect is the voice on the PA system saying that the last spaceship on Earth is departing for Tranquility Base Colony, because it's over for Earth and everybody's leaving for the moon.
Why did we decide to do that? Was that my wacky idea? Because I know that's me doing it, but
that's you doing it. I don't remember where the idea came from, but the idea was, I guess I sort of felt like it was a song for, the last throes of Earth, and everybody had to move to the moon.
And this was in 1983 or 4, imagine.
83 or 84, yeah.
We probably ought to actually be looking for that last shuttle now, apparently. But, well, let's play it.
Yeah, okay.
Tune for the Moon from like 1983 or so, 1984. Cut here in Austin. This is by Mitch Watkins with Mitch and I. Did anybody else actually play on this tune? Was it you, guitar, and lots of sequence stuff, and then I just played drums over it? I can't remember if anybody else played on it.
I believe that was it, and then we had you and I and Steve Zirkle sang some of the chant-like parts, and I think that was about it.
And the door gets a cameo appearance. Right.
The door.
So everybody, as you listen to this, see if you can find where that door happened. Just that, there'll be a bonus for anybody that can discover the door slam, okay? Here we go. Tune for the Moon. Tune for the Moon. Cool tune.
Thank you.
Oh, I love that tune.
Thanks.
You know, that holds up really well. I mean, you know, there are things that are very, very period specific, especially in contemporary mashups of genres, you know, rock and jazz and a lot of things. But I think that tune really holds up well over time. Maybe it's just because I like it so much I feel that way. But
I come back to it and listen to it every couple of years and go, okay.
Yeah. It's one of the.
I still have that drum machine.
Now, which one is that you used?
That's the Roland TR-808. That's the classic rap drum machine.
All right. What is that? That's probably a collector's item now, right? Probably people pay a lot of money for those.
Yeah, they were manufactured in 1980.
1980 is the year I moved to Austin. Okay, I took chainsaw out of your name. We're done with the Mitch Watkins Group part of it. We're moving away from chainsaw-like playing into maybe some of the more beautiful strains of Mitch Watkins. It's all beautiful, but
yeah, Mitch got old.
You know, for those of you, some of you might remember seeing us. That version of the band really was together very briefly. It's funny. It was such a powerful experience for me. I often think that it lasted a really long time, but it was really pretty quick. You know, I remember we rehearsed for a while in rehearsal space, working up material, right? And we did. I think the first place we played was someplace down on 6th Street on the west side of Congress. It was like where the Casablanca used to be or something like that. I mean, the later one, not the original one, but the one that was near where Antone's was for a while. We played somewhere on a corner there, and we probably played, I don't know, 8 or 10 times, and that was it with that configuration of that band.
I mean, you have to remember that both you and I moved to New York City while that group was in theory still together. Yeah. And played at McKell's in New York City.
Exactly.
And burned the place down.
That was a great gig. You know, speaking of New York, I don't know if you remember this guy, but Mark Deoana, who was the manager of Georgeson and Company. He was not the whole firm, but he was the manager of the floor that I worked on with a bunch of telemarketer kind of people. Which was a job that I had to try to survive while I was in New York. Chris Sider's wife at the time got me the gig there. She worked for the firm. And Mark is actually listening to the show. He tuned in, and he's checking us out. And he came to that show at McKell's that night.
He did? Remember, and Mino Chinelu joined us?
Oh, yeah.
The great percussionist that played with Miles Davis and
Sting and
Sting and others. Yeah.
Yeah. It
was a great night.
It was fantastic. I also remember he brought so much gear that he almost hid the rest of the band. Remember that? It looked like a drummer convention or something. It was awesome. He's amazing. He's a force of nature, isn't he? That guy.
Great player, awesome player. Yeah.
John Fremgen is tuning in. Mike Saylor's tuned in. Clay Robinson tuned in. Hey guys. Hello to everybody. Anyway, a lot of great memories and some really fun stuff, and I think about the music that you know working with sequencing and all that has always been one of the things that you are so good at and love to do, and definitely got me into it. You know, I mean, even the first gear I got was either borrowing or buying something from you. Borrowed that drum machine for a while, borrowed your DX7 for a while, you know, and eventually started getting into my own equipment. But you love working in that kind of a space. What, you know, I know you love how good you are working with people and working with bands and arranging for others, but you also really love the experience of just getting inside the gear and getting the door closed and creating in that way. Right? I mean, what is it about that appeals to you so much? The peace and quiet?
Well, yeah, I got kind of a geek side to me, and I'd like to curl up with a good owner's manual. You know? and I enjoy learning how to use all the digital audio workstations and gear and technical stuff. I enjoy doing that, and of course, it's a solitary sort of thing when you're writing by yourself, and I enjoy that as well.
Do you actually read the manuals? You said curling up with the manual. I'm one of those terrible people that I don't read the manual, and then I get all lost and I have to go watch YouTubes, you know.
I'll read a fair amount of them and learn my way around. And usually just anytime I get a new piece of gear, I start by trying to write a song using it. And of course, all the questions will present themselves as to how you do this, how do you do that. And you have to, look at the manual close, keep it close by. And by the time you finish writing your song, usually you find your way around the workstation,
Yeah, and sometimes new gear, I'm sure this is true for anybody that uses, all of the modern tools for making music, but a new piece of gear can inspire a new piece of writing, right? Or just a whole new approach. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, many things that I've done have been the day after I got a piece of gear. In fact, after I bought that TR-808 in like 1981, that drum machine, lots of stuff happened on the heels of getting that,
So the Mitch Watkins creative engine is directly linked to new gear purchases, much to the dismay of Diane Donovan. Right. Oh, I know that's only half true. The other half is she loves it because she's a great vocalist, and you guys have done some really, really cool stuff together and some brand new stuff. I know maybe one of the tunes we're listening to next is a collaboration. I'm trying to remember if it's on our list. Yeah, Cloud.
Yes. Yeah, this tune's called Cloud 11. And, Diane and I both have a lot of downtime here in the home, and we have worked together some, but we said, well, we might as well make a record. We have the technology, and we hopefully have the inspiration, and let's do something, So this is one of the things that's come out of that.
Oh, I love hearing that. You guys are going to dig this tune. I just heard it for the first time today. Mitch sent it to me some time ago, but it was lost in my email. And he said, "Did you get that tune downloaded?" And I'm like, "What tune?" And then I checked it out, and I'm blown away by this tune. So let's play it now. This is Cloud 11, Mitch Watkins and Diane Donovan performing an original. Sweet. Oh, that's a great tune.
Thank you.
I love
Thanks.
that. Bravo, Mitch. Bravo, Diane. She's over there somewhere, right? She's got to be somewhere in earshot.
She's somewhere around here, yeah.
Like you said, she never leaves the house anymore, right? Nobody goes anywhere. So.
Nobody goes anywhere.
Oh, man. Speaking of not leaving the house, has it, I think you already said this, but has it led to a burst of creativity beyond what your normal writing at home has been? Just out of sheer necessity?
I would say it alternates between a burst of creativity and a burst of extreme depression.
Right. Which then leads to dark songs, right?
Which then leads to more creativity if you're lucky.
Well, keep doing the writing, man. It's it's a good outlet, and the stuff is sweet and special. And I love you two together. You guys have a great sound together. The combination of Diane's sweet voice and pure tones with your textures and harmonic sensibility and the ever-present Mitch Watkins grooves. You know, I remember the first time we were at some, I don't know if it was at a rehearsal studio or we were someplace, and you sat down at the drum kit and started playing one of these ridiculous grooves that you'll play that it's like, where is that coming from? How are you sticking that?
That was a long time ago. Yeah, I don't have a drum set over here, so I doubt if I could play that again.
That was cool.
Well, thanks.
That was cool. You know, Elizabeth and I, my wife Elizabeth, for those of you who don't know her, we're also locked at home as well, like so many people. And we were talking about how valuable remembering to have humor in our lives, you know, in general, but in all of this too. It helps your immune system if you can laugh once in a while. And we certainly, in the middle of making some of this wonderful music, Mitch, with all the people he's done it with, and then when we've been together in different scenarios like the Mitch Watkins Group or Tres Musicos more recently and everything in between, there certainly have been some moments of wonderful humor in our experience together. And you remember the one in New York when I recorded Roach Boogie, and you know, a soon will be added to, you know, the classic American songbook, I'm sure, but
it needs to be.
It should be. And you Mitch played guitar over this little tune that I basically created with one of his drum machines and a DX7 and I may have had something else, another keyboard. I think I had a Roland Juno 60 to do the bass line with, and sang on it, wrote these silly lyrics, and Mitch played some guitar, and he also makes a brief vocal appearance in the song. You remember that?
I do.
Oh, no, I know. I thought about playing that. I don't know if that would mess up the groove too much of all this beautiful music we're listening to.
Play it. Play it.
I think we should probably dig that. You know, it's either between that or the Mitch Watkins Group performance of "Don't Get Around Much Anymore." I mean, it's one of those. It's a toss-up. It's hard to decide between the two. I don't know.
Well, the Scott Lanningham needs a whole show of his own of his comedy songs.
Oh, I did an episode some time back. I did one.
Oh, you did.
And I'll come back to it because I'm still kicking around the idea of creating some more of that stuff with my enhanced knowledge of gear, you know, now, instead of what I did, what was it, 35 years ago or almost 40 years ago, you know, a long time. But anyway, let's play, I want you to hear Roach Boogie. It's not very long, but you got to hear Mitch's guitar playing on this one, which is fun, and his brief appearance, not necessarily as a singer, but as an actor. He actually appears as a character in the song. So here's Roach Boogie.
You ever come home at night, find things crawling on your floor and bugging you?
Well, I do too, and I can't take it anymore. Tell you about a problem we got here in our town. When we come home at night, we see them crawling around. They're ugly little turkeys and they're looking for food. And on top of all that, they run around in the nude. Roaches! All over the place, new rules. Okay, no roaches in the kitchen or bathroom between 8 and 10 in the morning. After I leave for work, you got the place to yourselves. Clean up any messes you make in the kitchen. And when I get home at 6:30, you'd better be scarce until I'm asleep. And if you can't comply, here's what we're gonna do. They get in your stuff, man. I came home the other night and they were in my laundry. And there was this one in the other room. He was messing with my guitar and he was trying to. Roaches! All over the place. They think my house is a cafe. They're crowding my space. Roaches! Get out of my food. If you think that I am kidding, just watch me get rude. Stay out of the bed, get out of the kitchen, stay out of the tub, clear out of the sink, stay off of my dog, get out of this food, don't crawl on the sofa, clear out of my shoes. I hope you're taking me seriously, 'cause if you don't comply, here's what we're... Mitch, there's a roach on your leg. Gonna do boogie! Do the roach boogie. Get down on the ground and squirm all around. Boogie! Boogie, roach boogie. Stomp your feet and hear a crunchy beat. Put your boogie out. Boogie! Did you know that roaches have been around for millions of years? And they're gonna be here long after we're gone too. It's disgusting. They're nuclear. They don't even ever get dead. But we can afford some background singers, man. I'm tired of doing the boogies and talking about the roaches because they're Okay, I compromise. I won't be in the house from 8 to 10 in the morning. You guys can have it. You go to work and I'll clean up the messes in the kitchen. And when you get home, if I can, maybe I can find a date if I can go out on town.
You know, that was at the end. I don't know if you remember, but you were playing those guitar fills, and I was on the floor messing with your pedals. Remember, I was just turning every knob in sight, you know, just to try to come up with as many weird sounds as I could.
Yeah, it was at that studio space up in Midtown, New York that I had for a minute.
That was a cool space.
It was a cool space, yeah. And yeah, that was fun. That's a brilliant, wonderful song, Scott. Yeah.
Yes. I you know, you would think that the pandemic would bring some new versions of Roach Boogie out of me. You know, it just may if I yield to it. My other hit, Moose in My House. Do you know you've never heard it, and I haven't finished it, but I should, and you need to play on it. And I've been writing a sequel to it called, you know, There's Still a Moose in My House. And then it's all, you know, 30 years later, and it's what happened since the moose never left. You know, it's that kind of thing.
I love it.
Well, now, just for an absolute radical and abrupt change away from comedy, we're coming back to earth. And Mitch has put out a number of records over the years. Underneath It All. What was the one that followed Underneath It All?
Curves,
and then
Curves,
Strings with Wings, right?
Strings with Wings, yeah. The Humhead,
and
In the Time of Long Shadows,
and then the most recent one,
recent one, which is called Clarity.
And we want to play a cut from Clarity. When this one is just in the last year or so, right?
Yeah.
To this one.
Yeah, put this out. I finished this maybe about a year ago.
Do you want to set this particular tune up, Laramie, and say anything about it?
Well, Laramie, I toured for a couple of months with the great vocal group Conspirari. We were playing a wonderful piece by the conductor Craig Hella Johnson called Considering Matthew Shepard. And if any of you remember Matthew Shepard, he was a gay young man that got taken out beaten senselessly and tied to the fence post and left to die. And we played in Laramie, which is where this horrible thing happened to them. And the vibe of Laramie at that time of year, it was cold, it was wet, and you just got a feeling of this horrible thing that happened. And I don't know, just a lot of things converged to create this. That's what I can say about it.
So there was that certainly inspired the tune. And
it did. The plains, it was wide open spaces, and it's harder to talk about than it is to hear the music.
I understand that, and no, that's a good setup, and it's a beautiful tune. And this record is different from some of your others. I think this was one of your the most introspective things I've ever heard you do. I mean, this is a really beautiful recording. So, everybody go check it out. You can find it on Apple Music and Spotify and all the places where Mitch is just reaping in massive amounts of monthly streaming money. Just well under $1 million, right?
I've got a Brinks truck at the door right now.
Oh, boy. Well, I'm going to play it now for you, and we'll come back and talk some more. This is from Clarity by Mitch Watkins, and this is called Laramie. Wow, man, that is just beautiful and haunting. I didn't. You heard some of the next piece. Nobody else did. Sorry. Gorgeous tune. What are you playing What guitar are you playing on that one?
I was playing a maple bourgeois acoustic guitar, and it was just direct into the console.
Wow.
With quite a bit of voodoo on it.
Mm. With a mic on it or with a pickup?
Yeah, it was just straight out of the pickup.
Wow.
And then I had it processed fairly heavily with some other.
And then the backgrounds, all the swells and stuff. What do you do? How are you creating that? What are you playing that through?
Those were all on electric, and mainly they were played through. This won't mean anything to anybody, but Axe FX 2 multi-effects processor, a rack mount multi-effects processor with lots of delay settings available, and it's an incredible piece of gear. And then, a lot of careful work at the mixing stage as well, because it's really just two guitars and keyboard bass.
Yeah, just a synth bass line that's moving slowly. Right. You, I remember when we were, some of my earliest experience in Austin, not my very first experience, but certainly when I really started to get into in the period of the early '80s when I played quite a bit in the studio scene in Austin. Often it was with you, subbing for Steve Metter, something like that. But I remember you talking about the working in the studio being like a painter working on his canvas, and I remember that really, that stuck with me. It made me take a certain kind of view of the experience of being in the recording studio that I hadn't thought about before. Do you remember that? Is that something you've said often?
I do remember saying that, and I continue to feel that, especially about work where you're working alone in your studio, that it really is. Really is like that's your canvas. It used to be tape as canvas. Of course, it's no longer tape anymore. But I feel less that way about situations where you're called to perform in groups. Like to just play on somebody's record.
Right.
That's a different set of skills that you have to bring to the table. But it is a lot like painting, especially when you're alone and working on stuff from the ground up, because you are faced with a blank canvas.
And maybe even as a producer, I know you've done a lot of that over the years, and that what you bring to projects, Tina Lear or Abramore or so many of the others you've worked with, I know that that canvas thinking must impact some of how you approach things as a producer, depending on the artist and the music, right? I mean, some things are more literal than others.
Absolutely. I mean, in the cases of all the people that you mentioned, Tina, Lear, Abramore.
Who is this recent singer that you produced out of Canada? That was a beautiful record.
Andrea House. Really, really lovely singer. Had wonderful songwriter. But in all of those cases, I kind of was given some basic tracks to work with, and then worked here, often alone, trying to build it up from there.
Yeah, that's cool. Giving us a little inside look. I'm like, a lot of people with the gear you mentioned will go right over their head, but any guitar players that are listening will be taking notes and going, I'm adding this to my Amazon shopping list, right? So.
Well, it's amazing how a really great record can be made in some kid's bedroom with a minimal of equipment. I mean, look at this kid, Jacob Collier.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the guy made this masterpieces in his home studio, and he's 25, and
yeah, he's actually, I don't even know what planet he's from.
The technology has gotten so advanced that you don't need an expensive studio to do master quality work, Yeah,
Jacob is like, he's one of those talents where you're just going, what what galaxy did he come from? Because he can
Yeah.
he can do anything. It's amazing.
Yeah, he can do so many things well, and you know
Yeah.
that those kinds of people it comes from having a lot of alone time.
I think some of that is a generational thing. I think there's every once in a while there are generational leaps. Maybe every generation. I don't know, but there are definitely young musicians doing things now that just blow my mind. They're so far beyond anything I was ever thinking about at their age, or maybe even thinking about now. And we've played with some of them in town. We know who these folks are. I mean, I remember the first time I heard Brandon Temple. He and Red were on a couple nights ago, and we talked for a while. And he, I think maybe he or Chris Sorrells followed me in the Mitch Watkins Group. I'm not sure which of them came next, but I know hearing things that both of them did on recordings with you, playing some of the same music, it was like, wow, I never would have thought about approaching it that way. Isn't that awesome? That's a beautiful part of the community experience of being a musician, and what has been a part of being in Austin, right? I mean, this is truly, you've been in many, many cities, as have I. This has been a very unique and special place to be a musician, hasn't it?
It certainly has, and I hope to God it's not, past tense.
Gosh, yeah.
I hope we can get back to some semblance of what we had and took for granted.
Yeah, me too.
It was a special place, and now a lot of musicians are really hurting, and people don't have a place to play, and it's tough.
Speaking of that, I always put up a paypal.me link for people so they can have a virtual tip bucket. Do you have a paypal.me link that you would like me to surface here on the, the podcast? Just bring the Brinks truck to the house, right?
Do yours.
Well, if anybody wants to PayPal me for Mitch Watkins, I'll pass it on to Mitch Watkins. And mine is paypal.me/Scott Lanningham. Just say, this is for Mitch, and I'll forward it on to Mitch. Let's play, let's see, what did we have up next? We were going to share a video. Another of your compositions that hasn't seen the light of day on a record is this song called Never, which you brought to Chris Marsh and I in our ongoing Tres Musicos experience. We were playing Thursday happy hours at the Elephant, which is no longer, I'm not a part of it, but Masumi took the drummer's seat, and you guys are the Mitch Watkins Trio now. And when the Elephant opens back up, I assume you guys will still be back down there, hopefully, right? Who knows?
I plan to. I plan to. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, but that I love that trio. Sometimes Sean Giddings would join us, which would even take it to another level. He's not in this recording, but I have shared on this show a number of things I've recorded during over a couple of years that I was taking equipment to record us down at the Elephant Room on those Thursdays. And this is a video. My son Nate Lanningham shot the video just with an iPhone. It's pretty cool, and captured great sound there, and then married it all up for a nice performance video. So we're going to share that right now. Never, Mitch Watkins original, performed by Mitch, Chris Marsh on bass, and moi. Yeah, that was fun. Nice to revisit that.
Scott Lanningham on drums, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, thank you very much.
That's great, man.
It's pretty weird looking at us wearing long sleeves and hats, and it's like, wow, it must have been in the winter.
Well, honestly, I couldn't. I had no video, so.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I'm so sorry. In past, I've been able to shoot the actual video of what's going on to the guest, and right now there's some hitch with the equipment that's not making that possible. So Mitch has just had to stare at me the entire time. But
it's all right. I enjoyed listening.
Yeah, that was fun. Corn Sperari, have you been in touch with those guys? You mentioned them, and I'm wondering how everybody's life is up in the air right now. Nobody knows what is going to come back and when. I know that's true, and that's got to be. I mean, there's always one more facet of that I realize I haven't even thought about. And then you mentioning that performing group and how busy they are and what at a high level they perform at and function at, which requires, doing it to keep it active and not right. To mention to keep the business of it running. Bless their hearts. I wonder what's going on with them right now. Are you in touch with them at all about how they're weathering this?
Actually, yes. In fact, they did a little project. They called it The Big Sing. And Craig laid down a piano track, and he got me to play guitar over it, and I played some bass over it as well, and Tom Burrett to play drums. And then he got his singers, maybe 20 of them. And they were all on the screen singing to these songs.
Oh, terrific.
And it was beautiful. It was moving, I mean, it's so hard for singers right now because, singing itself, you're pumping the air out and potentially pumping germs out, So it's if you think about singing, it's just really tough for anybody that's in a choral organization right now. And it's very difficult to perform with other people. The technology at least as far as I know, has not gotten to a place where you can actually play in real time with another instrument somewhere else in another part of the world, you know.
Yeah, and certainly not with video as a part of that experience from what I've seen. You know, I think there are some things where people can roll a track and you can actually lay a part to a track, and whatever is happening in latency is made up on the rebound somehow by the software, you know. But that's a different thing than real musicians all trying to play together.
To get together, yes, it is. They're and you know that's what I miss the most about this situation. You know, I mean, we're all trying to make the most of it, and you know, like what we're doing right now. You know, but that communication with the other musicians where you're playing in the same room and the subtle looks people are giving each other and finishing each other's conversations and finishing sentences and the conversation that goes on between players is really what I miss the most, and connecting with an audience that you can see.
That makes such a big difference too, doesn't it? Because I mean, we talk about that all the time, and people know that when they come to see a show, it's different than if you're just listening to a recording. Although, thank you, you know, that we have the ability to do recordings and this kind of thing. But there's something that happens in any experience of the human social condition, of the energy that's transferred and experienced between people, you know, even when they're not speaking, right?
Exactly.
That is lost. That can't be captured through something like Zoom or FaceTime or any kind of streaming or anything like that, you know. So I'm with you. I hope we get back to that soon. With the Conspirari piece that you spoke of, what is it called? And I'm sure we can go find it on YouTube if people want to check it out.
The Conspirari piece that Craig wrote is called, and it's a lengthy work. It's over an hour, right? It's like an oratorio.
Oh, okay.
It's called Considering Matthew Shepard.
Oh, and I mean, is this what you were talking about? That is in video form?
They actually did a documentary on it that aired on PBS.
Okay.
Yeah. And there's a recording on Nonesuch of the whole thing, an audio recording.
Nonesuch Records.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we went out traveling for a month and a half or so, playing that piece around the country, and which, you know, prompted me to be in Laramie.
Yeah. I can't imagine
it's a beautiful work. It's a very, very strong work, and from the performer's perspective, looking out in the audience, there were lots and lots of tears.
Oh, I'm sure.
Lots and lots of tears.
You know, we were talking, Brandon and I were talking about this, Brandon and Red and I, a couple nights ago. And, you know, the times we're living in are just another expression of what you just described, you know, the emotion around the way music communicates pain and healing and everything in between around events like what happened to Matthew Shepard. And we're in one of those times when we need that music as much as we have ever needed it, you know, I would think. And it's very hard to be restricted to our homes when there are so many things that need our attention and our community involvement and our dialogue, you might say, right? And to combine that need with being sheltered to where we can't get together and perform and interact and express through the art, you know, of music, is really tough. And I think that's why we have to find every way we can to share music, to talk about the important things that are going on, and to try to speak to it through our music too, right? I know that's what you guys are doing too. You can't help but be inspired by the life you're living, right?
That's right. And, you know, all we can do is just figure out a way where we can keep going, you know, and make make something up, make some music, I mean, it's amazing some of the solutions that people have come up with to get music still getting out in the world, it's amazing, and people are very resourceful. And I think our world is going to change in a lot of positive ways as a result of this once it's over. I think there's probably going to be less pollution because people aren't going to be driving to work anymore, or not as many people are going to be going to work, because they realize they can work from home.
Right.
So there's going to be ramifications of all kinds. Once the thing is over and we have a vaccine and it's not a danger anymore, it's still going to change things. And I think music will come back at that point for sure.
And even if we certainly love our great historic venues in Austin, and we pray and hope and look for ways to support their survival, because I can't imagine Austin without a Continental Club or a Saxon or an Elephant Room. I mean, these places are important to our experience here in town. Or I can't imagine not having a KMFA and a Diane Donovan talking to us every day either. Got to have that. Those things are all part of what make us want to be in Austin. Part of it, important parts.
That's right. Right.
But I also think that whatever happens, there's going to be such a hunger for those things coming out of this. Maybe that's some of what you're saying is this is one hell of a wake up call, and a lot of people. I can't wait to see what it's like the first time we hit a stage again somewhere in a place that people were used to coming to and have missed, like Church on Monday, for example, or your Thursdays at the Elephant Room, or your performances with Sarah Sharp. It's like, are we going to see a lot of appreciation beyond what we've ever seen before? I would think that we would, and that we will feel the same way, right?
I think so. I think once it's safe and we can go out and play with each other again, play music with each other, it's going to feel so good to do that again,
Isn't that the truth?
Just can't imagine. Oh, by the way, I have one small correction.
Okay.
I got the record label wrong for the Conspirare piece considering Matthew Shepard. It's not on None Such. It is on Harmonia Mundi.
Harmonia Mundi?
Yeah, M-U-N-D-I. Yeah.
Harmonia.
Harmonia Mundi. It's chiefly a classical label.
Okay. All right. Everybody got that? Write that down right now. Get your pens out. Correct. Mark out None Such. And Harmonia Mundi is how you would get considering Matthew Shepard by Conspirare.
Yeah.
With Mitch Watkins as a participant. Very worthwhile to check out. It's funny. I've seen video on YouTube, and it is incredibly moving. I actually thought that you were earlier. I thought you were telling me that you had done actually something else more recently with the folks from Conspirare.
I have done the other thing that I was talking about was quite recent. It was like last week when it aired.
Oh, okay. And I
misunderstood you if you were asking me about that.
Is there a place to go watch that as well?
Actually, I think they took it down. It was a live broadcast, and I think it stayed up for maybe a day, and I think it's gone now.
Well, I'm not taking this down, damn it. This is going to stay
Don't
up.
do it.
Well, we've got one more we wanted to share. This hour and 15 minutes has gone by really fast. This has been a lot of fun hanging out with you, Mitch, and listening to this great new music you've got coming out. I can't wait to hear what else comes out of the studio. You also have a tune of mine, or actually one that you're waiting on, that you're going to add some of your beauty to, I know. So I'm going to debut that on this show once I get it all finished. And
that's one of the great things about the technology. On the tune that you're about to hear, I sent the track off just yesterday to the great one of my favorite musicians and human beings ever, Sean Giddings, wonderful piano player. And he sent it back this morning, played on it, sent me 4 tracks of stuff, and I edited it and put it into the song, which you're about to hear.
Oh, fantastic!
So
That's
that's one of the beauties of the technology, is that we still can at least work on recordings together remotely.
That's as close as you can get to real time without it being real time. Send it, get it back the next day. Hey, that's pretty fast. That's faster than it used to be in trying to book a session.
Sean Giddings, that's a quick turnaround, man. I don't turn it around that fast. Usually, if somebody wants me to play on something, it might take 2 days.
He is happening, and that's because he doesn't have to. He doesn't have to hear the song or read the music. He just, it's osmosis with him. As soon as the first note begins, he knows exactly what's going to happen and what he's supposed to play.
Yeah,
he's truly special.
He really is.
Yeah, we should do another one of these and have him join us and talk. That would be fun.
Yeah.
There's so many combinations of conversations and music sharing you could have in this kind of a format, which is why it's so much fun.
Yeah.
So thank you for doing this so much. So we're gonna,
pleasure.
And the last one is called Chance Chant.
Chance Chant. Yeah, and this has got a lot of vocal work by Diane at the beginning, and then kind of a middle section in which Sean plays some beautiful piano stuff, and we have a saxophone, and then it kind of goes out like it came in.
Beautiful. Well, here we go, and thank you all for joining us. We'll let this close out our evening. We'll hang on while it's playing and smile and groove as we're digging on the tunes. Come back on and say goodbye, and thank you all again so much for joining my little radio show. If I call it a radio show, it's not actually on a radio station, but hey, the word works, right?
It's great. It's great what you're doing, Scott. It's great.
It's keeping me from going nuts, that's for sure. So thanks for joining, and thank you, Diane, for being in the wings there as a moral support, and for your beautiful singing on these recordings with Mitch. And here's Chance Chant. So nice. Oh, that's great.
Thank you.
That is beautiful. What was Sean doing? Was he just comping and playing, just filling here and there?
I gave him no instructions.
He just did his thing.
I said, "Do your thing, man." And that's generally he's playing fills and comping, you know.
Yeah, as only he can. Yeah.
As only he can. That's
yeah.
right.
Oh, and Diane sounded so beautiful on that. I love that. You know, the two of you, you got to do more stuff together. I love the stuff you've done over the years, but this is a completely different animal when you're collaborating with her from the tunes that I've heard tonight. And I hope you're serious about doing a whole album of stuff together because
we have more stuff already in the can.
Oh, good. Good. So I already know what I'm buying for Christmas for people. So get it together, man. Get it together.
Yeah, maybe we'll finish by then. We'll see.
That'll be all the incentive you need, right? Scott needs it for Christmas presents. Yeah.
There's one.
Oh, I'll buy 10 at least. So I'm going to give it to all the people that I know wouldn't find it otherwise. I'm going to say, you got to have this. Thank you again, man, Mitch. This has been real.
Pleasure.
It's been fun.
Yeah, me too.
Thanks for sharing all the great music. And again, if anybody wants to PayPal me, I'll give it to Mitch. But somehow you've got, I don't know if paypal.me/Scott Lanningham, if you go to that, I don't know if it says, what is this for? But, you know, if it does and you want to send a tip to Mitch, then just say this is for Mitch. And I'll know what's going on. And I'll launder that money for him. So just send it right on. Thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you.
Thank everybody for tuning in. We'll be back soon with another SL Radio. Take care.